back to my channel. This is week number 5 on the Fearless Me Challenge. So, the Fearless Me Challenge is a challenge I gave myself, but I also encourage you to do it as well, in which every day I do something that pushes me out of my comfort zone. So, this week was definitely another busy week, and I didn't do something every day. It kind of is hard to do something every single day, but I did want to briefly, before I got into what I did, talk a little bit about fear and what I kind of learned so far in the process. Um, and maybe that will make you feel more like, okay, this is something I can do. So, fear is the anxiety. This is kind of how I look at fear. Fear is this anxiety about something that could happen, right? Um, it's apprehension or apprehension about the future. You just don't know what's going to happen, what could come of it. A lot of times, fear encompasses worry about that other people will like you, or that what you have to offer, people won't want it, people will judge you, maybe your family, maybe even yourself. One of the biggest things I also realized about fear is that sometimes fear is like the fear of doing something, because if you do this one thing, it's at a cost of another thing. So I know for like many parents, for example, it's sort of like, well, if I go back to work, I have the opportunity to make more money, but then I have to pay for daycare, so all the money goes to daycare. So is it really worth it to do that? And what's the cost benefit analysis of that? It's kind of like a simplistic idea, but um, I don't know, just that's the one that's been sticking to me the most. It's sort of like, if I do this one thing over here, then how is that going to impact something over here? Like, one thing's going to take away from the other. So that is also a lot of times what fear encompasses that. So for me, I definitely hadn't pushed myself enough. So I sat down and I created a list of just everything that I was feeling afraid of, that I was really worried about, that's kind of weighing heavy on my mind. Um, and I, as I wrote them down and then read them over and read them over, I definitely felt a lot less weight with the fear. And I was like, why again am I not doing these things? After I kind of wrote them out and released them, I was like, this is actually not so scary. And I kind of wrote down ways that I could actually kind of tackle those fears. And then I'm in the process now, kind of making a plan for, okay, this is how I could do it. So I'll list a couple things that I wrote down, just so, being kind of open here. So break out my phone because I wrote them on my phone. Things that I am fearful of. The number one is being broke. Don't ever want to be broke, aka not having enough money to kind of survive and have the basics covered. So that's like number one. Number two is having to go back to a full-time job. So if my business ever completely fails, having to go back to a full-time job those are like 1 and 2, and they're actually tied together, which is really interesting. My dog hasn't been feeling so great lately, and she's older. She just turned 10, so I always have this worry. I always knew that she would, of course, go before me because dogs don't live as long as humans, but it's still very sad, and she's not her young, spry self, so that's also been weighing heavy on my mind. So anytime she's doing anything that's a little bit off, I'm like, oh my God, is she dying? Yeah. So yeah, that's heavy on my mind too. Public speaking. I don't like public speaking at all. That makes me nervous even to think about, but I feel like that's one of those things I need to tackle because I'm not terrible at it, so I could actually tackle that. There's like 12 of these on here, so I won't read all of them. But another one would be, this is a big one. Never having kids, like never getting married, and having kids is also on there. Well, I could be a single parent by choice. I've like thought about that idea a lot, but I'd much rather be married and have kids, but I'm not dating anybody and not even really going out much, so I don't know how this person's gonna come into my life. But those are like the 5 ones I think other people probably can relate to, so that's why I read them. And so I just wanted to share that with you because that was weighing heavy on my mind, and those are things that I need to tackle, and they all come from kind of what we call like the scarcity mindset, this not enough mindset, and it's not helpful because it doesn't do anything but keep you stuck. So I wrote down a whole bunch of things of okay how I'm going to tackle them, and that's what I'm going to do this week. And I hope that next week's update will be more interesting, and I'll talk about actually some of the ways I tackled some of these fears. This week has been tough. I didn't really do much to get out of my comfort zone. Everything has been kind of dancing around the comfort zone. Nothing has really expanded that. So I think this week I'm really going to go big. So that's my goal, to go big this week. So I hope you join me with that. Give me some suggestions. Comment down below. Send me email. Let me know, what do you think I should do, and also tell me what you're doing because I want to hear from you. And then I will see you on Thursday for the next video.